Bloody Mary Podcast. Welcome to the Bloody Mary Podcast, where we talk about all things horror while drinking a Bloody Mary. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Tammy. And we are totally married.
Yeah.
Tonight, we are reviewing the movie Smile.
Smile. But before we talk about that, we have merchandise.
Yes. Go to our website, bloodymary.com.
BloodyMaryPodcast.com.
That's right.
It'll take you to some cool merch website. And also, we have an Amazon wish list. You know, holidays right around the corner. If you're thinking about gifting us some stuff, we could really use a Zoom PodTrack P8 if you're rich. Or there's some mics on there. And there's some smaller stuff like cups and Bloody Mary mix and stuff like that. If you buy us something, we'll give you a shout out. If you don't want to buy us anything and you'd like to buy something for yourself, merchandise, we got shirts and shit. So
yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
They're fun.
I have a new short film out, just came out on Halloween. It's called Jack Shit. It's not that long, it's just under 2 minutes. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be doing its festival run next Halloween season, but there's some festivals that it already got into, so check it out. We'll put a link below. It's a fun little movie. Watch it and enjoy if you like horror. It's
a little tasty treat.
Yeah. So for this film, we'll do spoiler free as long as we can. And then we'll jump into spoilers. And if you're watching on YouTube, it should be timestamped below. So let's get into the film.
Let's get into it.
Smile was in theaters. We didn't see it in the theater, but we saw it shortly after when it was on, what was it, Paramount or Peacock?
One of the two.
One of them. It was on there.
It was streaming.
So we checked it out. And I really didn't know much about this film going into it, which I like to do. That's a lot of fun. I'd seen a trailer, but I kind of forgot about it.
Same.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts in general about Smile? Is it great? Is it okay? Does it suck assholes?
I thought it was really good.
You thought it was really good?
I enjoyed the acting in it. I think the Bacon Spawn.
Yes, Kevin Bacon's daughter, Sosie, who was in the Scream TV show.
Really?
She had a small. I think she was in like 5 episodes of the first season or the second. Anyways, we can go back to that and check it out for sure.
Yeah,
but she was in there. She looked a lot different. She got really gaunt and thin for this, it seems.
Okay.
But yeah, go ahead, continue. Acting is good.
I enjoyed the acting. The premise, I enjoyed the premise of this movie, and I thought it was good. I thought the ending was fun. I liked the villain, I guess you could say. I'm trying not to spoil. I'm sorry.
No, you're doing good. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
There were a couple things I didn't enjoy about it, but overall, I really liked it. Considering the other ones that we'd watched recently, this was like, yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
I have the opposite.
You didn't like it.
Well, so this is a case where the first time when we watched it, I was like, okay, this is good. And there's some things I didn't like about it, but this was a case of a film that it was festering in my mind.
Okay.
And the more I thought about it, the more I didn't like it.
Okay.
And the more I kept thinking about it, so it just dropped lower and lower and lower. And the angrier I got thinking about this movie.
Really?
There's so many things about this film that upset me to the core of this movie. And I understand why people like it. And the acting from her is really good. The acting from everyone else just sucks. I think maybe the cop, he was good. But there were performances that were just weird.
Okay, I get that. Like her fiance,
who just her doctor, her boss, who was Harold and Kumar.
Yeah,
it was weird. Like the acting was weird.
I didn't mind him. I think her fiance, who just see as A-Train from The Boys.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, I agree. I didn't like.
When we were watching
off of her,
when we were watching the film, there was a plot point that I was openly saying, "Why are you doing this?" If you remember,
I do. Yeah.
And so this movie is fine, I think, up until the third act, and I think it really drops the ball in the third act.
Okay.
And I think the ending is terrible given what this film was trying to do.
All right.
Yes.
Good. You know what I like? That we both have differing opinions.
Yeah. So this is a case of, if you haven't seen it yet, one of us likes it, one of us really doesn't. So check it out for yourself. So I think we just have to get into spoilers. We can't last too long.
We're horrible at not giving spoilers.
There's so many things I want to talk about with this movie. So you've been warned. Jumping into spoilers.
All right, here we go.
Go ahead. What do you got? What do you got for me?
This is a mental health horror movie.
It is.
And the ending is, I liked the some of the effects with the creature or demon or whatever is haunting her.
I did not at all.
Really?
Yeah,
I did.
Whole thing about it. Their face was a cartoon face.
It was
the
a cartoon
body
face.
looked more real. One of my go ahead. I'm just gonna go off if I.
No, please, you go ahead. You have a lot to say. I mean, I have things to say, but you're raring to go.
On the effects, they didn't need to all be digital. This really bothered me, and it took me out of the film. Like, from your first effect, when she cut her face, you could have done that practically. It was digital. But then there's an effect where her sister, in her mind, her head goes upside down by the car. Mm-hmm. Completely cartoonish and not scary. The effects were, you could just tell it was digital. And what you're talking about, the creature at the end, some of it was cool, some of it wasn't. When it was the form of her mother and you saw the body looked cool. Mm-hmm. But then the face looked so digital. And then the creature was cool as well, but it also looked really digital, and it kind of took me out of it because it's like a person here and a cartoon there. And sometimes movies can pull it off and sometimes they can't. And I was just thinking, if I made that film, there weren't that many, like, those are the ones that stand out. If you just made those practical, mm-hmm. I think it could have been much more effective.
Okay, yeah. No, I can see that.
You know, for sure. Because there's a way you can make a real life tall, person like that and have, a really awesome, masked, a face built for that, I think would be so much fun. And it would just, if it was there in front of her, touching her for real, I think that would have been much more effective.
Okay.
Yeah, I hated the effects. But like you're saying, this is, if you go below, not too far below your entertainment value, it's a mental health movie, period.
It's such a mental health movie. It's like,
right?
I have many layers, like kind of like, oh, smile.
Yeah.
When you're, when you have some mental health issues mm-hmm. and you're fucking depressed, you're suicidal, you have anxiety up the ass, you have all these other things going on, and you have to put that smile on your face to pretend like everything is okay, because if it's not, then people are like, ooh, or you have to explain, and you got to keep that smile on your face, which is can be haunting and horrible in and of itself. Mm-hmm. And I think part of why I liked this, and I guess the special effects and stuff, I think I was more into, because I myself have a laundry list of mental health things. The effects and stuff, it didn't really affect me like you did, because I was wrapped up in the mental health side of it and my brain was mm-hmm. somewhere else.
Gotcha.
So I think that's maybe if I wasn't so like, oh, I get that, oh, I feel that, oh yeah, that makes sense, mm-hmm. with trauma and how it, this movie is all about moving on trauma. You inherit it from your parents.
Yes. Or,
something traumatic happens to you, and then that affects how you live, which affects how your family lives.
Oh, yeah.
And so on and so on. So like, I've been like fucking eyeball deep in that shit like this past year. So
you can relate to the film.
So I can relate to that mm-hmm. more. And I think my head was in that space more as like,
okay, yeah. So then, as a person who relates to it, and say the message is, definitely mental health, put a smile on your face. This woman received trauma, and you would think her journey was to overcome that drama.
No.
But what the theme of this film is, if you're going with that at the end, is that no matter what you do, it doesn't matter. You're not better than your trauma, and your trauma will always win, and it'll kill you. there's no happy ending.
Right. And that's fucking depressing.
Right?
And then
So that's not a good message if it's geared towards people like you.
it is not a good message, but we're also in a horror movie.
Yes.
We're not in
Exactly.
a comedy or a
we
drama
are in a horror movie.
or anything like that. So the horror of mental health is very much it is stuck with you for the rest of your fucking life.
I get that.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
And you either win and we all fucking die. You either win and you fought this battle your whole entire fucking life and it's exhausting, or you end it quick and you don't. And that is the horror of it. So yeah, that's...
Yeah, or on the surface, if you're like, I'm watching this and I'm not picking up on any mental health things, and it's a movie, it's a horror film about this creature who... fucks with people, kills them in front of the other to transfer to the other because it's just...
It feeds off grief and trauma.
No, just not thinking about that.
Oh, okay.
It just jumps from person to person, killing each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. There's so many things, like, I feel like there's so many half-baked ideas in this. And this really... like, if this was a script for Fallen 2, which I don't think you've seen, Denzel Washington, John Goodman, Donald Sutherland, fantastic thriller horror film of the 90s that you can really tell this film took cues from. And I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a Fallen sequel script and the studio said, no, we're not going to make this. And then they took the script and changed some stuff around, made it their original thing. Because a lot of that third act is the same as what the character was doing in Fallen at the end. He went to a family cabin. She goes to a family cabin, kind of alone to fight this thing because you know something. But the difference in Fallen was there was like research done on this demon specifically and how to like, to defeat it. In this one, she had no idea about anything aside from that it's happened to other people, and she just thought it was a great idea. This well-educated woman thought it was smart to just go. She thought she knew better than an ancient demon, and thought that I'm just going to go to my trauma childhood house and somehow kill it there. In my mind, that makes no sense. Why would she think that's a good idea? like the cop. Her talking with the cop was good because it was someone that was like, oh, this is happening before. Stick with that. Do more research. Hook on to the cop guy and get more eyes on it. If you can't beat it, get eyes on this thing. That frustrated me. That she just thought she knew better than an ancient demon, didn't talk with anybody, and just went out to the... Do you think you're going to win?
No, I'm going to counter that. To counter that, I think so she's going off about and telling all these people, her fiance, her sister, her therapist. And it's funny because it's like, okay, because she had that patient who was like, first of all, I'm a PhD student. I need you to understand that I'm a PhD student. I'm a smart fucker. I'm smart.
And then she becomes that person.
And I see this thing that only I can see, and it takes the form of other people, and I'm scared, and and she as a doctor is like, okay, well, you have trauma happen to you. You saw someone kill themselves in front of you in a horrific way, and you can experience that trauma, and that sometimes comes as hallucinations, and then she ends up getting it because she watched that girl kill herself in a horrific way in front of her. And then yes, she is smart and she is logical, but if you're experiencing that and then you tell your fiance who you trust and he's like, oh, baby, you're crazy. I'm going to get your therapist. We should lock you up.
But then you go to someone who does trust you. And then she goes
to the cop, and then she finally, she tells her therapist, and their therapist is like, well, you know better than anyone that dealing with traumatic things can bring up hallucinations. And then she does go to him, or the cop guy, who her ex-boyfriend or whatever. And they do that research, and then she's like, okay, I think I got it. And she doesn't want to end up killing herself in front of someone else to pass on this trauma. She's trying to figure out how to do it herself. Everyone thinks she's crazy because if you talk about it, they think you're crazy. They think you're schizophrenic, or you experience some PTSD episode and you're having a fucking mental break. Or like her sister, she goes to her sister. Well, her mother had mental breaks and hallucinations and crazy talk, and that passed on to the two girls, and they both dealt with it differently. Her sister became some vapid, weird, like ignoring it type person, superficial, pretend it doesn't happen, go as far away from the trauma as you can, and she just dived in deep to be a therapist. And then when her sister's like, well, you're just sounding like mom, and then she's sitting here like, oh, maybe I am fucking mom, maybe all of these things are in your brain, and there's like all these voices in your head. And demon aside, if it wasn't a demon, all these things are in your head and you don't know what to do and no one's listening to you, and that is her only option. That's like, she's like, okay, I think I got it, but I get your point.
I see it, but I also disagree. I don't. Yeah.
My whole thing was
she knew all this stuff. She knew like the demon feeds on those things.
Right. My whole thing was go there, kill yourself by yourself so the trauma doesn't. I was like, I'd just off myself with no one around.
But why would you think that would work? If this has been going on since the dawn of time, don't you think someone tried that?
Yeah, but guess what? Either way, you're fucking dead unless you kill someone.
Unless you go and kill someone. Yeah, then it skips you
in front of someone else.
Yes.
So the trauma continues, but you don't have to die.
But you have a cop connection, so you Dexter some shit. You go to like some really evil people,
which you could.
You find someone, then boom, like. This cop, I guarantee you, the one who at the end he got the creature.
The trauma is now upon him.
He's gonna be fine. He's got a whole system of people that he's gonna kill someone and pass it on, and then he's gonna go and do research, get people on it, get eyes on it. Yeah, I don't. It bothered me, her choices. It really did. And it also bothers me too, the layers, because I'm not 16 years old anymore trying to deconstruct David Lynch's Eraserhead for like 3 months, trying to find deeper meanings and talking with my friends and getting high. And what does it mean, brother? Or I'm not a film student anymore doing a dissertation on Apocalypse Now and breaking it down with culture versus counterculture and all this shit. Right? So I like my horror films. They can have a message. That's fine. And then if you go a little deeper, okay. But if you make me go any deeper than that, I don't like it, and I check out. Like it's not something to where like you're making me think even further about this. I don't think it was worth it. And so this is fun. So what if you view, because they do kind of leave it maybe a little bit open. What if you go with the viewpoint that from the beginning, this lady was crazy? What if none of that was real? How would that change the viewpoint of the film? It probably isn't. I mean, there's so much, like half of the movie would had to have been like she's just making it up.
Right.
But what if the director came to you and be like, you know what about that movie that people don't get? None of that was real. She was crazy from the beginning.
Then it's still fucking a depressing mental health movie with triggers galore. It is. If you have any remotely some sort of trauma in your life, like, yeah, it's still. I guess if you have very little trauma or any of that, then you're like, well, okay, it was okay. But I guess if you have any sort of trauma and you understand it even remotely, at least for me, it hits different.
And I see that and I get it.
So even on a superficial level, it still hits different for me than it would for you.
Yeah. It definitely.
We have different paths in life.
I don't like this movie. And the more I talk about it, the more I think about it, the less I like it, because I don't think the plot works. And especially that third act, I think they just dropped the ball. They did get me, though, with their false ending. I thought that's what happened. Mm-hmm. Then it's like, oh, okay, I'll give them that. One thing that I did think was really good about this film was the score and the sound design. I think the sound design really amped up those terrifying moments. Mm-hmm. I think the set pieces were awkward, like I'd mentioned, like the cop's window, and I think the only reason that he had that window was so they could do the scene transition.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't like about this movie. They did too many scene transition camera tricks.
Yeah,
upside down, like.
Well, I can see why, because the script in certain hands could it not be a good film.
Right.
And I think it needed a little bit of artistic creativity to make it
Right.
elevated a little bit. And I think that's why he was doing some of this stuff. But I do agree that
They did too many for me.
too much of it. Yeah.
I like those
Mhm.
when they're placed properly and there's space between. Like this one, it was like every time you turned around, you're upside down. Every time you turn around, you're this. Which I guess if you're going and you're digging a little deeper into the movie, that's kind of what you feel like when you're deep in drama. Like you don't know what's up from down and the world is just a fucking mess. And you're a mess.
That's how they disorientate you.
So that's
as a
how you
viewer.
disorientate you as a viewer. So I get that, but I wish they would have spaced those out because it was just like every time you turn around, it was there. That really bothered me.
I agree with that.
So
the one character that I thought that, I mean, like in real life, if you were someone, you would be the sister.
I would be the sister?
Well, you're the one who decided to remove yourself from it and to make a better life.
Right.
In this family.
I feel like if you're looking at it though, okay, I get that.
Right.
But the sister also, I feel like, just ignored all of it and just pretends that it never happened and isn't there. And hides under the superficialness of life.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to go to Pilates and then like I had to take him to Spanish class and football and all these things. Like, where is my day gone?
Yeah.
Like she just stays at the superficial level because if you dig in deeper, it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
And it's shitty. And so I think she ignored all of that and just is like, here, look at my pretty life and I'm happy and I came from this and this is this and she's not actually dealing with her trauma, whereas the other one is dealing with her trauma too much, I think.
Well, our main character, she, I guess we don't know the trauma that the older sister endured, but I think the youngest one, our main character, had more trauma because she didn't help her mom. She let her die.
Right. So the whole start of it was like, oh, she saw her mom commit suicide, and then when she goes back to the house. Then, you realize that her mom was like, "Oh, I made a mistake," and as a 10-year-old girl, she just was like, "No."
And then she like Homer Simpson to like into the bushes.
Right.
She's like, and she closes the door slowly,
which is even more traumatic because. But then, as a child, this woman, your mother, who's supposed to take care of you and provide, you know, comfort and safety. Did not and was harmful to their children. So as a 10-year-old, she's like, yeah, but if you go away, then I won't be fucking traumatized on the daily and abused on the daily all the time. Yeah. Which leaves even more scars. So like, yeah, that's fucked up. See, I have a whole other view than you do because your life and my life.
See, I'm like, this is like on my list of could be worst of the year, and I know that it won't be. Like, this is probably going to be an honorable mention for when we're doing our best and worst films of the year. Because the more I think about it, the less I like it. And I do see why people like this film. It sits at a 6.7 on IMDb. Mm-hmm. People are saying it's a sleeper hit and everything, and I see it. But I've seen this before. And I've seen it done better is kind of like what I'm saying. And I've seen these types of films before. I've seen worse ones. Like there was a film that dealt with trauma as well. I think came out a couple of years ago. It was called Relic that we both watched. And we both thought it was really awful. That dealt with like generational Alzheimer's
and stuff. Yeah, that one wasn't handled
so at
well.
least this one, it gave you an on the surface horror film. With their message, but yeah, I don't know. The third act really, I didn't like her motivation for that, and they just did that because they saw the movie Fallen. I guarantee it. And you need to watch that film.
We should
because it's so much better. But it just bothered me that she thought that she could destroy an evil ancient demon alone in an old home.
And I can see that point, but I think
like hang out and do more research. Like if you have a limited time, you're trying to like help people by not being around them, but as the movie showed you, that doesn't work because she passed it on anyways.
Right.
It's just like if that was me, I'd be like, all right, I'm fucked. Let's do as much research as we can, and also find someone for me to kill.
I'm like, I'm gonna need to kill a horrible human.
Yeah.
So if we could just get on that,
cop
that'd
ex-boyfriend.
Be cool.
Now that you believe me, okay, who do you got in prison?
Who can I kill?
let-
Who can I
let's
just
find
off and get
let's
this
find
over with?
the head of the Nazis, and I'll kill his second in command, and they can pass on to him. And okay, we're good there. We're out of it. Now we can continue our research alive.
And help people.
Also, her sister's alive. She's dead.
Her sister is
So her
alive.
choices made her live still. She's alive.
That's true. But yeah, and then I think
And she didn't even come to terms with her trauma. She just got murdered by an evil demon that used her trauma against her.
that's true. Which yeah, see, you and I have different viewpoints in life because
So-
you have not had a traumatized life. And
I have. I've seen Smile. Now I'm traumatized.
Not even close, darling. I'm so sorry, but no.
Okay, so obviously we both have different opinions, but what would you rate this out of 10 Bloody Marys?
I'm gonna put it at a 7.
Motherfucker. I'm going to a 3. 3 Bloody Marys.
I really like that we didn't.
Yeah.
That we didn't.
me
And then
too.
it's very divisive because we
Yes.
usually agree.
I know. It's
So I like it.
yeah, me
And
too. So I guess watch it or don't.
I would say if you do watch it, if you have any sort of mental health stuff in your head, if you've ever experienced a point in your life where you don't want to be alive, this is a trigger warning. I think that there is some really sensitive topics of suicide and stuff in there, and
Yeah.
if you've never been in that mindset, then you're not going to get it. But if you have, it is very triggering. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. And so I'd be interested to know different people's viewpoint. If you've lived a traumatic fucking life, what are your thoughts on it? And if you've lived a fairly like, okay, cool. Life's, ups and downs, but I'm not traumatized as fuck. What is your opinion on it? Because yeah, I see that kind of playing a role in that.
Okay,
At least it does for us.
One more thing. I've seen movies that deal with huge emotional things that I love.
Right.
Like it's not just because I haven't went through some kind of trauma, I don't like this.
No, I
That's
agree.
not the thing.
I agree.
Yeah. I just don't
that's
like
what
the
I'm
movie.
not saying. I'm just saying that I think there is a level that you won't get that I get.
Yes, for sure.
So just keep that in mind if you do watch it, if you have those triggers, because that is very triggering.
Yes.
I
and
know
if-
I was a little triggered while watching it as well.
Yeah.
So
And if
just
you've
keep
made
that
it
in
this
mind.
far, you pretty much know the plot and stuff. And if you don't like shitty movies, just don't watch it.
it's not. Yeah. I mean, we've seen way
But-
shittier.
So
Jeepers Creepers Reborn.
no,
we're
we're saving talking about that for some
I'm
other
just
day.
saying, we've
But
seen
we just saw
movies.
Thanksgiving 3.
Oh my God.
And yeah, that was something.
Thanksgiving 3.
That was something.
I'm glad I will never have to watch that again, but I can say that I did.
One last note. Aside from all that, Sosie Bacon was really good. Her acting and bringing her character on that journey, she did a really great job. I just
She
wish
did.
that there was a better script and
Around it.
better effects on
Okay.
my end. So our Bloody Marys are pretty much dead, and so are we.
All right.
So we'll catch you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.
The Bloody